Welcome to the Sleepy Science Channel. Here, we use soothing sleepy bedtime science stories to unveil the tranquil mysteries of the universe for you. Tonight, let's relax our minds and embark on a gentle journey into a world of science and dreams, surrounded by the 430 Hz Earth frequency. Christmas Eve, 1968. Apollo 8 astronauts Frank Borman, Jim Lovell, and William Anders became the first humans to leave Earth's orbit and fly towards the moon. As they circle to the far side of the moon, all radio contact with Earth was suddenly lost. An unprecedented sense of loneliness washed over them. A few minutes later, they witnessed a scene almost no one in human history had foreseen. On the desolate, lifeless, and barren lunar horizon, a blue and white planet was slowly rising. It was colorful, shrouded in clouds on the black velvet of the cosmos, emanating a soft, life-filled glow. Yet, beneath this most breathtaking scenery, a deeper, more primal emotion also bred in the heart of every astronaut who witnessed it: fear. It was not a fear of heights, nor a fear of technology, but a philosophical shudder from the depths of the soul. Astronaut Ron Garan once described it: when you leave Earth, you begin to feel a sense of separation from all of humanity. From everything known, you look back and see that small, fragile planet. It carries everything you love, everything you know, everything that has ever existed in human history. It's just there, hanging in the darkness. You suddenly realize all our competition, all our conflicts, all our joys and sorrows happen on this insignificant speck of dust. It's a perspective that is humbling, but also frightening. Anders later described, "We came all this way to explore the moon, and yet we discovered the Earth." This fear is the dark side of the overview effect. It is not simple fright, but a profound awareness mixed with awe, insignificance, loneliness, and the fragility of existence itself. This is the famous Earthrise photograph. It changed humanity's understanding of our place in the universe, but accompanying this awe is an indescribable fear, not of the lunar environment, but the profound unease that rises within us when we look back at our home from that distant angle. From the moon, the first thing that strikes us is its size. This fear stems from the most intuitive physical scale comparison. On Earth, we are accustomed to concepts of vastness: the endless ocean, towering mountains, the sprawling desert, all make us feel small. However, this vastness is based on a reference frame centered on ourselves. When we stand on the moon, this reference frame is completely overturned. In the lunar sky, Earth's apparent diameter is about 4 times that of the sun, like a giant blue-white gem hanging against a backdrop of black velvet. Its brightness is about 70 times that of a full moon, enough to cast sharp shadows on the lunar surface. Yet, this largeness is relative to the lunar landscape. When your gaze passes over this blue planet towards the infinitely deep, utterly empty space behind it, a brand new sense of scale instantly swallows you. But this visual spectacle is precisely the first source of fear. Earth's largeness actually highlights its smallness. The moon you stand upon is a dead world. No air, no water, no life. Its surface is scarred by billions of years of asteroid impacts, and the Earth you gaze upon, though teeming with life on the cosmic scale, is not fundamentally different from the moon. They are both rocky planets orbiting an ordinary star. Astronomer Carl Sagan famously described it in a vast cosmic context. Our planet is a lonely speck, every kind of life we know. Everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every king and peasant, every young couple in love, every mother and father, hopeful child, inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. From the lunar perspective, this mote of dust is the entire domain of human civilization, all wars, all empires, all achievements of art and science, all personal ambitions and collective dreams are confined to this tiny world, only 12,742 kilometers in diameter. This cognitive upheaval is enough to make any viewer dizzy. The black of space is not the black we see on an Earth night. Earth's night sky has atmospheric scattering of starlight, city light pollution. There's always some light. On the moon, with no atmosphere, the sky is pure ink black, seeming to absorb all light and sound. Stars and planets are pinned to this black velvet like cold diamonds. They don't twinkle, just emit their distant light mercilessly. Against this ultimate dark background, Earth is the only colorful, vibrant presence. It is like the only oasis in an endless desert, or the only small boat in stormy seas. This extreme contrast triggers a strong separation anxiety and loneliness. You realize outside this lifeboat is an environment ruled by physical laws, absolutely hostile to humans: vacuum, extreme temperatures, lethal radiation. This fear is a biological instinct, a primal reaction to unknown dangers outside the sanctuary. What we fear is not the moon beneath our feet, but the vast, indifferent, cosmic void that envelops both the moon and the earth. When we stand on Earth's surface, the sky above gives us a sense of shelter. By day, the atmosphere scatters sunlight, forming the familiar blue dome. By night, though dark, it's dotted with stars. The moon is gentle. Our senses are surrounded by Earth's environment. There's a sense of being at home, safety. But on the moon, everything is different. The moon has no atmosphere. The sky is always black, even during the day. The stars no longer twinkle, but are like countless cold pinpricks, piercing the endless black curtain. The sun is a glaring ball of light, merging directly into the surrounding darkness without any transition. And Earth, though large and bright, cannot provide that sense of shelter. On the contrary, it reminds us that the fragile bubble providing life support has been left behind. Psychologists call this feeling deep space anxiety or cosmic loneliness. It stems from the realization of being completely exposed to the vacuum of space without any protection. On the moon, temperatures can swing from 127 degrees Celsius scorching heat to minus 173 degrees Celsius bitter cold in minutes. There is no air, sound cannot travel, absolute silence reigns. Cosmic radiation and micrometeorites are constant lethal threats. This environment is completely contrary to the security needs evolution gave us. For millions of years, our ancestors evolved on the African savanna, dependent on solid ground, breathable air, temperate climates, and signs of life around them. The lunar environment is the antithesis of all this, triggering our most primal subconscious fears of the unknown, of uninhabitable environments, of total isolation. From the lunar perspective, Earth's most striking feature is its color. That vast blue, dotted with swirling white clouds and brown land masses. This blue comes from the oceans, covering 71% of its surface, and water is the basis of life. But behind this beauty lies a deeper fear. Earth might be the only planet we know that harbors life, at least within the observable universe. Astronomers have observed thousands of exoplanets through telescopes. None have confirmed signs of life similar to Earth's, even within our solar system. Our neighbor Mars is barren and cold. Venus is hellish. The gas giants are impossibly hostile to known life. Earth, from this perspective, is like the only oasis in an endless desert. This realization brings an existential anxiety. If Earth is the sole harbor for life, then its destruction would mean the end of consciousness, at least for humanity. When we gaze at Earth from the moon, we are actually gazing at all possible life, all consciousness, all meaning, all concentrated in one fragile world. This fear becomes more urgent in contemporary times. With climate change, the threat of nuclear weapons, and ecosystem destruction, we are more aware than ever of the fragility of this life oasis. From the lunar perspective, borders disappear. Racial divisions become trivial. We see only one planet that needs collective guardianship. Looking at Earth from the moon, we already feel our own insignificance. But if we zoom out this perspective further, the sense of fear only deepens. On the solar system scale, Earth is just one of 8 planets orbiting the Sun. The Sun itself is just one of 200 to 400 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy, and the Milky Way is just one of at least 2 trillion galaxies in the observable universe. This leap in scale almost exceeds human comprehension. If we compare Earth's size to a glass marble about 1 centimeter diameter, then the moon is about 30 centimeters away, still within a comprehensible range, but at this scale. The Sun would be a large sphere about 109 centimeters across. About 117 meters away, the nearest star, Proxima Centauri, would be 31,000 kilometers away, almost the circumference of the Earth and the scale of the observable universe. In this marble Earth model, the diameter of the observable universe would be 93 billion kilometers, more than 6,000 times the actual distance from Earth to the Sun. This sense of insignificance on such scales can provoke 2 completely different reactions. One is existential anxiety. Are we truly insignificant in the universe? The other is liberation, recognizing that our trivial worries are meaningless on a cosmic scale. On Earth, we are part of an ecosystem. We breathe air, drink fresh water. The ground beneath our feet is solid and reliable. We engage in a continuous exchange of matter and energy with our surroundings. A connection so intimate we barely notice it. Like a fish doesn't notice water ... but from the moon. The entire Earth ecosystem, the biosphere, is presented to you for the first time as a complete closed system. You see that wafer-thin layer of atmosphere enveloping the planet. As these few dozen kilometers of gas sustain billions of lives, you instantly understand how fragile it is. A major volcanic eruption Dust raised by a nuclear war could cause irreversible damage to this film of life. You are no longer inside the system, but have become an observer, an outsider to the system. This shift in perspective brings a profound sense of alienation. That beautiful planet is your home, but now it is more like a delicate glass globe bonsai you cannot touch. Between you and it lies an impassable chasm of vacuum. This potential of seeing it, but not being able to return a real technical risk during the Apollo era, triggers the most primal survival fear. On the moon, your senses are completely stripped of all connection to Earth's life. You hear no sounds from Earth, no wind, rain, birdsong, human voices. The cosmos is dead silent. You smell no scent of soil or salty sea air. You feel no warm sunlight, only the direct scorching of solar radiation and the bone-chilling cold in the shadows. All your senses convey one message: there is no life here, and that vibrant planet in your eyes offers no sensory evidence of life. This disconnect between cognition and sensation heightens the unease. Your brain knows there is life there, but your body experiences absolute stillness. This contradiction is enough to trigger an alarm at the subconscious level, as if that blue planet were just an illusory projection, a mirage, whose underlying truth is the eternal silence of the moon. The universe is vast not only in space, but also almost eternal in time. From the lunar perspective, looking at Earth, we see not only spatial smallness, but also temporal brevity. Earth is about 4.5 billion years old, while humans, Homo sapiens, have existed for only about 200,000 years, equivalent to 0.04% of Earth's history. Recorded human civilization is only about 5,000 years old. From the moon, we see not only Earth's present appearance, but also the result of billions of years of evolution, from a molten magma ball to a cradle of life, through mass extinctions and recoveries. This temporal perspective makes us realize that human civilization might be just a brief chapter in Earth's history. Like other dominant species in the geological record, we too will eventually give way to new life forms from the moon. This transient feeling becomes exceptionally clear. More disturbingly, Earth itself will not last forever. In about 5 billion years, the Sun will enter its red giant phase, expanding and potentially engulfing Earth. Even before that, Earth could become uninhabitable due to asteroid impacts or other cosmic catastrophes. Faced with such time scales, we must ask, what is the meaning of human civilization? If everything will eventually fade, what value do our struggles and achievements hold? These questions have no simple answers, but they become unavoidable when viewing Earth from the moon. Looking at Earth from the moon also produces a special psychological phenomenon: cognitive dissonance and alienation. Earth should be our home, the most familiar place, but from the lunar perspective, it becomes a strange celestial body suspended in the void. This alienation of home triggers a deep-seated unease, similar to the feeling in dreams where familiar surroundings become strange and eerie. Philosophers call this experience cosmic estrangement, the realization of an insurmountable distance between us and what we consider home. We are used to seeing Earth as the stage upon which we act out our lives, but from the moon, Earth itself becomes a prop on the stage, and the stage is the boundless universe. This shift in perspective is not merely physical, but psychological and existential. It forces us to reassess our relationship with our home and our place in the cosmos. Earth is no longer the self-evident background, but a phenomenon that needs explanation, a precious existence that needs care. Many Apollo program astronauts, upon returning to Earth, underwent profound psychological shifts, later termed the overview effect. They described a deep concern for Earth and a puzzlement over human conflict. Since from space, Earth has no borders, why fight over artificially drawn lines? But at the same time, they also admitted the element of fear in that experience. Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell described an overpowering emotional experience. When looking at Earth from space, he suddenly understood the nature of the universe while also feeling humanity's smallness and fragility within it. Apollo 11's Michael Collins, the one who stayed in the command module, orbiting the moon alone, never setting foot on the surface, perhaps experienced the most extreme isolation, while Armstrong and Aldrin walked on the moon. Collins, each time he passed behind the moon, would lose all contact with Earth and his fellow humans, becoming the most isolated person in the universe. Collins later wrote, "I am not lonely. I am isolated, ... I am sitting in my own little world, completely isolated from any known life. I look at the radio, knowing it cannot receive any signal from Earth, and there is a strange feeling at that moment. The fear of seeing Earth from the moon is not the kind that makes us want to run away, but a profound emotional experience mixed with awe." Psychologists believe this sense of awe is crucial for human mental health and worldview formation. Awe occurs when we face something vast that transcends our current frame of understanding, whether a natural wonder, an artistic masterpiece, or the scale of the cosmos. It has two core characteristics: vastness and accommodation, the need to adjust our mental framework to accommodate the experience. Viewing Earth from the moon precisely provides these two elements: the visual vastness of Earth in the lunar sky, and the need for a thorough adjustment of our understanding of our place in the universe. This adjustment process itself brings unease and fear, as it means letting go of our accustomed sense of security. But research shows that while our experiences are unsettling, they often lead to positive psychological shifts, increased altruism, enhanced connection with all humanity, reduced materialistic tendencies. Many Apollo astronauts, after returning to Earth, dedicated themselves to environmental or peace causes, an embodiment of this transformation. So, how should we face the fear generated by viewing Earth from the moon? Perhaps the answer is not to avoid this fear, but to embrace the wisdom it brings. This fear reminds us that Earth is indeed fragile and needs our care. It tells us that all human divisions and conflicts are insignificant on a cosmic scale. It teaches us humility. We may not be the center of the universe, but merely temporary residents in one corner. From the lunar perspective, we also realize that although Earth is as small as dust in the universe, for humanity, it is everything. This speck of dust carries all our history, all our culture, all our love and dreams. Its smallness is not a reason to devalue our existence, but a reminder to cherish this rare chance at life. Contemporary environmental crises make this lunar perspective particularly urgent. We don't all need to fly to the moon to gain this perspective. Through satellite imagery, scientific understanding, and philosophical reflection, we can all cultivate this cosmic consciousness within. When we learn to see Earth from a cosmic angle, fear gradually transforms into responsibility, the determination to protect this fragile planet. As astronaut Ron Garan said, when you stand on the moon and look back at Earth, all political, religious, and ethnic boundaries disappear. You see just one planet that needs united protection. Fear often stems from the unknown, but sometimes a deeper fear stems from the known when we use the lens of science to carefully dissect that blue planet seen from the lunar perspective. The fragility hidden behind its beauty becomes chilling in a colder, more certain way. From the moon, we can most visually see Earth's atmosphere. It is not a uniform, thick wrapping, but merely a delicate halo clinging tightly to the surface. This barrier we depend on for survival. The vast majority of its mass is actually concentrated within the troposphere, less than 10 kilometers from the surface. If Earth were an apple, this layer of life-sustaining gas is much thinner than the apple's skin. This film can protect us, relying on its precise chemical composition. The ozone layer absorbs lethal ultraviolet radiation. Its total amount is small, yet it acts like a patch in a critical location. From the lunar perspective, you realize how human-released substances like CFCs remotely, precisely attack this vulnerable patch. You see not an impenetrable shield, but a dynamically balanced system being corroded from within. Seeing the atmosphere, you visually understand the greenhouse effect. It's like a transparent insulating blanket covering the globe. Solar radiation can penetrate it to heat the surface, but the long-wave radiation emitted from the surface is trapped by greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane within it. From the moon, this greenhouse is visibly concrete. You become afraid of how we are frantically thickening this blanket while knowing little of the consequences. This change from a cosmic scale happens in an instant, like putting an overly thick coat on a living being. The result is bound to be systemic overheating and disorder. Earth's blue color comes from the oceans, covering 70% of its surface. This often gives us the illusion of limitless water resources, but from the lunar perspective, combined with scientific knowledge, this illusion is shattered mercilessly. Of Earth's water, 97.5% is seawater, undrinkable or unusable for irrigation. Of the remaining 0.5% freshwater, nearly 70% is locked in the ice sheets of Antarctica and Greenland. The rivers, lakes, and groundwater we rely on account for only about 0.07% of the total global water volume. This number, on a cosmic scale, is almost negligible. That azure planet you see, its life-usable liquid freshwater, is just an extremely thin layer of dew on the surface. Any large-scale pollution or climate change-induced shifts in precipitation patterns could violently shake this delicate balance. From the moon, you can imagine the ocean currents and atmospheric circulation that drive the global climate, like the Gulf Stream, the trade winds. These circulations are the planet's blood circulation system. Scientific models show they are not eternal and unchanging. but have tipping points. The melting of polar ice caps due to global warming could inject enough fresh water to alter ocean salinity and density, thereby slowing or even shutting down key currents. This is like causing cardiac arrest or arterial blockage in a living organism, thinking that we might be unintentionally triggering such planetary switches, with consequences difficult to predict and irreversible. A sense of retrospective fear for our own recklessness arises. The moon beneath our feet is itself a giant warning sign. Its dead state provides us with a control group for understanding Earth's fate. A key reason for the moon's desolation is its lack of a global magnetic field. This magnetic field is a crucial barrier protecting a planet's atmosphere from being stripped away by the solar wind, the continuous stream of high-energy charged particles from the sun. Scientists believe the moon might have had a thin atmosphere long ago, but it was gradually blown away by the solar wind after its magnetic field disappeared. Earth's magnetic field is generated by the dynamo effect of its core. It acts like a giant protective shield, deflecting the vast majority of the solar wind. But on geological timescales, the core will eventually cool. The magnetic field will eventually disappear. Then, Earth's fate will be no different from the moon's. Standing on the moon, you are like standing on Earth's future fossil, looking back at its vibrant past. This temporal dislocation brings a deep pity for the transience of the phenomenon of life. The deepest, most lasting fear comes from the psychological and philosophical level. This lunar perspective is like a sharp scalpel dissecting the surface of our daily lives, pointing directly to the core of existence. The overview effect is often described as a positive, interconnected experience, seeing Earth's wholeness, the lack of borders, realizing humanity as one. However, this coin has its reverse side. When all human knows, the grandeur of history, love, and hate are reduced to a sphere that can be covered by a thumb. A strong sense of meaninglessness might sweep over you. The careers we strive for all our lives, the emotions we struggle with, the beliefs we defend fiercely. On the cosmic scale, what is their meaning? Shakespeare's plays, Beethoven's symphonies, Einstein's equations, they all happened on this insignificant pale blue dot. This realization can bring liberation, but it can equally bring nihilistic fear. It forces you to answer an ultimate question. If all this is so small, what is the meaning of our existence? The outbreak of this existential crisis is the inevitable shudder of individual consciousness when faced with absolute vastness. The lunar landscape is an intuitive textbook of geological time. Its surface, covered with craters, records billions of years of continuous impacts. These features have hardly changed because they have no wind, no water to erode them. The moon's time is almost completely stagnant. Looking back at Earth from such an eternal perspective, you become aware of Earth's dynamic and transient nature. You see the clouds swirling in the atmosphere, imagine storms forming and dissipating, realize continental plates drifting slowly. Earth is alive, but also ephemeral. Everything on Earth, including human civilization, is in a state of rapid change and flow. Thousands of years of human civilization are but a blink on the geological time scale dot from the moon. You feel the fragility and brevity of human civilization. Our proud achievements might just be a brief fever on this planet, and the universe and the moon with their billion-year unchanging silence watch all this birth and demise indifferently. This insight into the ephemeral nature of our own civilization is a deeper, collectively unconscious fear. Our brains evolved in the environment of Earth's surface. Our sense of space, direction, belonging are built on the simple cognition that the ground is flat. The sky is a dome, but from the moon looking at Earth, it is a suspended sphere. Up and down lose meaning. The sky is in all directions. This intuitive experience shatters the cognitive framework we rely on for survival. We are no longer grounded creatures, but beings living on the surface of a sphere are suspended in the void. This disruption of worldview is similar to the impact Copernicus's heliocentric theory had on humanity. But this time, it's not theory, but something I witnessed with my own eyes. When the old mental model cannot accommodate a new reality, the brain produces a temporary sense of dissociation and loss of control, which is one of the core sources of fear. However, just as the ancient Greeks believed tragedy could purify the soul, this fear born from the lunar perspective also contains immense positive power and profound revelation. This fear is different from the fear of facing huge waves or lightning. It doesn't make you want to run away, but makes you want to gaze. It is awe. A complex emotion involves fear, wonder, admiration, and humility. It is this sense of awe that drives scientists to explore, philosophers to think, artists to create. It makes us recognize our own smallness, freeing us from anthropocentric arrogance. Realizing Earth's smallness and fragility doesn't lead us to despair, but makes us aware of its preciousness. As astronaut Edgar Mitchell said, you develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, an intense dissatisfaction with the state of the world, and a compulsion to do something about it. The fear of losing it transforms into a tremendous sense of responsibility to protect it. From the moon, no national boundaries are visible. This simple visual fact carries powerful political and philosophical significance. All human conflicts, racial discrimination, resource contention happen within this shared, closed ecosystem. Fearing this, we realize our true enemy is not each other, but threats from the external environment like asteroid impacts, global climate disasters, or internal crises triggered by our own folly like nuclear war, ecological collapse. This perspective forces us to form a cognition of a shared future for humanity. When our common home appears so lonely and fragile, internal strife seems utterly absurd and pathetic. Fear, here, becomes a catalyst for unity. Facing the nothingness of the universe, we are forced to look inward for meaning. If the external universe doesn't give us meaning, then meaning must be created by us internally, our love, our creations, our pursuit of truth, goodness, and beauty, our connections with each other. The intensity of these emotions and values is not diminished in the slightest because they happen on a pale blue dot. On the contrary, precisely because they exist within the vast nothingness, their very existence is a miracle, shining even brighter. This perception pulls meaning down from the altar to the human realm, from eternity to the present moment. It tells us that meaning lies not in how long we exist, or in how much space we occupy, but in how we exist. Seeing Earth from the moon is frightening because it shatters our accustomed sense of security, casting us into the boundless cosmos, facing our own insignificance and transience. But this fear is not without value. It might be the necessary baptism for us to grow into a mature cosmic species. For most of human history, we looked up at the stars, imagining gods and myths. Now we can leave Earth, look back at our home, and see its true face, beautiful, fragile, lonely. This perspective is both frightening and enlightening. Perhaps in the end, we will understand that the fear of seeing Earth from the moon is actually all for the miracle of life itself, and that dark void, that blue and white planet, is not just the fact of where we came from, but a symbol of who we are, an awakened part of the universe learning to know its home and the meaning of existence within it. This realization, though unsettling, is full of hope because realizing the scale of the problem is the first step towards solving it. Looking at Earth from the moon, we are afraid, but we are also, therefore, awake. Ultimately, the fear brought by looking back at Earth from the moon and the wonder it inspires are two sides of the same coin. It is this profound, cognitively sourced shudder that might precisely be the necessary impetus to awaken humanity's collective sense of responsibility and guide us towards a more sustainable, wiser future. When we learn to coexist with this fear and heed its warnings, we might truly become worthy of this miraculous planet we call home. The fear felt when seeing Earth from the moon is the inevitable reaction of human consciousness breaking through its own physical and cognitive limits. It is the vertigo of scale, biological homesickness, philosophical awakening. This fear is not a weakness we must overcome, but the growing pains we must experience. It signifies that we have finally matured enough to leave the childhood cradle. In the words of Tsiolkovsky, turn around and with the clarity and calmness of an observer, examine our true situation. That blue planet suspended in the black void is our only home, the only oasis of life we know. The fear of losing it might just be the greatest motivation to protect it. When we can feel this profound shudder, we truly begin to understand what home is, what humanity is, and, in the vast universe, what subtle and precious responsibility we collectively shoulder. In the end, we learn to coexist with this fear and transform it into a deep, action-filled love for this lonely, beautiful world we call Earth. All right, my friend, let's pause our conversation here tonight on the mysteries of the universe. Now, allow me to press pause for you. Set aside all thoughts and inquiries and simply, quietly be in this moment. From here, my voice will fade away, leaving only the silent tapestry of the cosmos and a carefully chosen piece of pure music tuned to 432 Hz. Science suggests this frequency resonates deeply with the natural vibrations of the universe and the rhythm of life itself, soothing your nervous system and guiding you into deep relaxation. Now, find your most comfortable position. Gently close your eyes or let your gaze rest softly upon the stars. May you release all weariness from the world, letting your consciousness drift on the waves of music, floating into boundless tranquility. Good night, sweet dreams, until we meet again among the stars.